A reading from the book of the prophet Isaiah. The wilderness and the dry land shall be glad. The desert shall rejoice and blossom. Like the crocus, it shall blossom abundantly and rejoice with joy and singing. The glory of Lebanon shall be given to it, the majesty of Carmel and Sharon. They shall see the glory of the Lord, the majesty of our God. Strengthen the weak hands and make firm the feeble knees. Say to those who are of a fearful heart, be strong, do not fear. Here is your God. He will come with vengeance, with terrible recompense. He will come and save you. Then the eyes of the blind shall be opened, and the ears of the deaf unstopped. And the lame shall leap like a deer, and the tongue of the speechless sing for joy. For waters shall break forth in the wilderness, and streams in the desert. The burning sand shall become a pool, and the thirsty ground springs of water. The haunt of jackals shall become a swamp. The grass shall become reeds and rushes. A highway shall be there, and it shall be called the Holy Way. The unclean shall not travel on it, but it shall be for God's people. No traveler, not even fools, shall go astray. No lion shall be there, nor shall any ravenous beast come up on it. They shall not be found there, but the redeemed shall walk there. And the ransomed of the Lord shall return, and come to Zion with singing. Everlasting joy shall be upon their heads. They shall obtain joy and gladness, and sorrow and sighing shall flee away. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. A reading from the letter of James. Be patient, therefore, beloved, until the coming of the Lord. The farmer waits for the precious crop from the earth, being patient with it until it receives the early and the late rains. You also must be patient. Strengthen your hearts, for the coming of the Lord is near. Beloved, do not grumble against one another, so that you may not be judged. See, the judge is standing at the doors. As an example of suffering and patience, beloved, take the prophets who spoke in the name of the Lord. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God.
The Lord be with you, and also with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. When John heard in prison what the Messiah was doing, he sent word by his disciples and said to him, "Are you the one who is to come? Or are we to wait for another?" Jesus answered him, "Go and tell John that you hear and see the blind receive their sight, the lame walk, the lepers are cleansed, the deaf hear, the dead are raised, and the poor have good news brought to them. And blessed is anyone who takes no offense at me." As they went away, Jesus began to speak to the crowds about John. "What did you go out into the wilderness to look at? A reed shaken by the wind? What then did you go out to see? Someone dressed in soft robes? Look, those who wear soft robes are in royal palaces. What then did you go out to see? A prophet? Yes, I tell you, and more than a prophet. This is the one about whom it is written, 'See, I am sending my messenger ahead of you, who will prepare your way before you.' Truly I tell you, among those born of women, no one has arisen greater than John the Baptist. Yet the least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he." The true gospel of the Lord. Praise to the Lord, the word, the light. Be seated, please. So I say good afternoon to you. Our gospel lesson this afternoon sees John the Baptist in prison, and he was wondering if Jesus was indeed the Messiah. So he sent some of his disciples to ask Jesus if he was the one. Jesus does not say yes or no to that question, but tells the disciples of John to tell John what they have seen and heard, and what they see and hear. The lame can walk, the blind had received their sight, the leper had been healed, and the dead had been raised up. Jesus told John's disciples to go back and tell John what has been happening. And then John could figure it out for himself that Jesus was indeed the Messiah. John was probably having a difficult time understanding who Jesus was. He might be thinking, "Lord, where did I go wrong? I did what I thought you wanted. I said what I thought you wanted me to say. You told me that the Messiah was coming, but where is he? Where's the fire, the axe, the judgment he's supposed to bring? And why, if he's here, would he let me stay in this place?" I've heard rumors about this one called Jesus. I thought I knew my cousin pretty well. I remember that day in the Jordan when I baptized him. What a glorious day. I knew it was all beginning then. God's whole plan was being put into play. But where is he now? Why isn't he doing what I said he would do? Is he really the one, or should I go look for another? John wanted to know why Jesus did not come with the fire instead of love. He wanted Jesus to bring judgment upon the people, but instead, he brought love and forgiveness. This was not what John thought the one would do. He thought the one would come with fire and brimstone, but Jesus came with love and understanding. Jesus came with forgiveness. Jesus then pays his respects to John by saying, "Truly I say to you, among those born of women, there has risen no one greater than John the Baptist. Yet he who is least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he." He tells the crowd that John is indeed someone who should be respected for the message that he brought. John's message was right for that time, but Jesus' message of love and forgiveness is the main message that God wanted to come to this earth. So today, which message do we listen to when we see the child come at Christmas? Do we see judgment, or do we see love? What child do we see on Mary's lap sleeping, as that song says? What child? The child of judgment or the child of love? The child who can answer all our questions of faith, or the child that leaves some of those questions unanswered? Wondering and having doubts, is that okay? Do we shy away from those questions of doubts? As Christians, are we prone to think and say that doubts, questions of faith, are wrong? Paul Tillich points out that God does not stand aloof, apart from our questioning. Rather, God is in the struggle of doubt, making himself known through it. Doubt, therefore, is a vital part and element of the faith which justifies. In the book A Sign in the Straw, Pastor Richard Hoffer asks, "Who of us have not cried out with John, 'Are you the Christ?' Or shall we look for another?" When life gets tough and we see innocent people suffer, so often we see that the bad succeed while the good fail. We face a world locked in the death grip of one meaningless war after another. When we witness the destruction of nature as greed and desire for comforts drain the earth of her natural resources, when we choke on pollution and stumble over wrecked lives of people struck down by uncontrolled addictions to many different things: drugs, alcohol, food, sex, work, laziness. Who can help but cry out, "If you are the Messiah, why this?" Shall we look for another? He asks again, when will we learn that faith does not have all the answers? We must understand faith is a risk. Faith is a life of trust, not of certainty and security. God never promised answers to all of our questions. God never promised life without stress. What God does promise is God. He promises and gives only himself, with all the dangers and risks of personal encounters. He states further, our hope, not faith without doubt, but faith within doubt. Not the answers we possess, but who possesses us. We may doubt God, but God never doubts us. We may not know God, but he with absolute certainty knows us. This is the gospel. This is our life. This, my friends, is the love that will never let us go. We need to understand and learn to have faith with all our doubts and questions. The child comes with love and allows us to face our doubts and questions about life and faith. He allows that. The child comes and changes everything about life for us. He makes the weak strong, the strong weak, the dirty clean, the sinful sinless, and the unforgiven forgiven. He changes everything. He's like the baby in the following story. Now, this story takes place at Roaring Camp, which was supposed to be the meanest, toughest mining town in all of the West. It was reported that there were more murders and thefts than any other place around. It was a terrible place, inhabited entirely by men, except for one woman who made her living in the only way she knew how. Her name was Cherokee Sal. She became pregnant. The father was unknown. Sadly, she died while giving birth to the baby. The men took the baby and put her in a box with some old rags under her. Somehow that just didn't seem right. So one of the men rode 80 miles to buy a rosewood cradle. He brought it back. And they put the rags and the baby in the beautiful new rosewood cradle. But the rags didn't look very nice in the beautiful new cradle, so they had another man ride to Sacramento where he bought some beautiful silk and lace blankets. Now they put the baby in the cradle lined with silk and put the new blankets over her. It looked fine until someone happened to notice that the floor was so filthy. So these hardened, tough men got down on their hands and knees and, with their calloused hands, scrubbed the floor until it was spotless. Now, of course, now the walls and the ceiling and the dirty windows without curtains looked absolutely terrible. So they washed down the walls and the ceiling, and they put curtains in the windows. Things were beginning to look a lot better. But of course, they had to give up a lot of their fighting because the baby slept a lot, and babies can't sleep during a brawl. So the whole temperature of Roaring Camp seemed to go down. They would take the baby out and set her by the entrance to the mine in her rosewood cradle, with one of the men staying next to her, so others could see her when they came out of the mine. Then somebody noticed what a dirty place the mine entrance was, so they planted flowers and they made a garden there. It really looked quite beautiful. The men would bring her shiny little stones that they would find in the mine, but when they would put their hands down next to hers, their hands looked so dirty. Pretty soon, the general store was all sold out of soap and shaving gear. The baby was changing everything. Now, that's also the way it is for those who have placed their faith in the babe of Bethlehem. The baby enters into their lives, and he slips into every crevice of their experience. The one who was John was wondering about Jesus, the Christ child, born in a manger, came and changed everything about life. He came into every part of life and changed it. It is this child of change that we await for during this Advent season. The child in the manger, the child on Mary's lap sleeping, that comes now in our lives and changes us from the inside out. He comes with love to forgive, to love, to change us. Will you let that child of change into your life this Advent and Christmas? Will you be changed from the inside out? The pastor writes, one rainy afternoon I was driving along one of the main streets of town, taking those extra precautions necessary when the roads are wet and slick. Suddenly, my daughter spoke up from her relaxed position in her seat. "Dad, I'm thinking of something." This announcement usually meant she had been pondering some fact for a while and was now ready to expound all that her 6-year-old mind had discovered. I was eager to hear. "What are you thinking?" I asked. "The rain," she began. It's like sin, and the windshield wipers are like God wiping our sins away." After the chill bumps raced up my arms, I was able to respond. "That's really good, Aspen." Then my curiosity broke in. How far would this little girl take this revelation? So I asked, "Do you notice how the rain keeps on coming? What does that tell you?" Aspen didn't hesitate one moment with her answer. "We keep on sinning, and God just keeps on forgiving us." We keep on sinning, and God just keeps on forgiving us. This is the way for us to see this child born in a manger. What child is this? The child who comes into every aspect of our lives and changes us, forgives us, and cleanses us from our sins. Will you allow that child into your life this Advent and Christmas season? Will you allow him to change you from the inside out? Will you allow him to clean up every aspect of your life? Amen. The announcements. Trying to make it short and sweet today, folks. Here we go. You can make a difference here at this church and in the world. We are in case you don't know, we are a nonprofit corporation, which means we don't make any money here. None of us take a salary. We're all volunteer positions. So we rely on you and your support to keep this church going. You can Help us out. And it doesn't matter if it's 10 cents, a penny, $1, $1,000, anything you can do to help us would be great at this point. We are in dire need of help. You can check us out. Just go to DallasULC.com. I put all of the information there. There's a donate page on there. All the information on how to donate is there. Also, of course, if you do shop on Amazon, make sure you go always when you shop to smile.amazon.com, not just amazon.com, smile.amazon.com, and make sure that you have Dallas Universal Life Church as your charity. Amazon will graciously donate half a cent for every dollar that you spend, and that does add up, and we appreciate that. Okay, we do need your help. You can also volunteer here at the church. That's another great way to help. You don't have any money? Well, neither do we. But that's okay. We volunteer here and offer ourselves in the service of Christ. Just see me or visit DallasULC.com to sign up. Pray at DallasULC.com. Pray at DallasULC.com. That's the only email address you need to know if you have a prayer request. You can choose to remain anonymous. You can also give your name. You can ask that your prayer requests be said during our daily prayers here at Dallas Universal Life Church, or you can ask that the congregation all say your prayers. Say your prayer request during the prayer intercessions on Sundays. Sorry about stumbling over my words there. Pray at DallasULC.com. If you have any questions or anything, just let us know. Just send us an email. Of course, you do know we have a podcast, right? I hope so by now. What is it, 102? It's the 102nd episode now. So, yeah. If you haven't checked out our podcast, please go check it out. It is different than being here in the service. It is different than being watching it on YouTube or, it's just a different experience. So how do you find our podcast? Well, it's just simple. You just go and search with your favorite search provider for Your Path with Bishop Mark. Your Path with Bishop Mark. Or you can always find us at TuneIn, Google Podcasts, CastBox, Pocket Casts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, Radio Public, Anchor, Breaker, Overcast, or Stitcher. Say that 10 times fast. Compliments, concerns, suggestions, or complaints. Compliments, concerns, suggestions, or complaints. Very easy. Send us an email. feedback@DallasULC.com. Very important topic here, but very easy to deal with. Just give us an email. feedback@DallasULC.com. Okay, so in a nutshell, what that just said was, come celebrate Christmas with us this each year on December 25th at 5:30 p.m. It's just a little kind of an amped up way of saying it, I guess. Okay. Guys, come see us Christmas. Attendance is low, and I don't know what's going on. I don't know why we're having struggles with our attendance, but I'm working on it. I'm trying to fix the problem if I can figure out what it is. Okay? Okay, so yeah, thank all of you who took the time today to wish me a happy birthday. I do appreciate it. It's been a very rough couple of days. Let's just go and stop that for now. I just want to get this in here real quick. It's been a rough couple of days. I lost my grandmother. My grandmother lost her battle with Alzheimer's yesterday. We walked into the hospital room just as she was taking her last breath. And it's tough to be in a celebratory mood on a day after that. Even though I know I should be. Celebrating her life and celebrating her love and celebrating the amazing things this woman did throughout her life. And just a quick little thing here, just something about her that amazes me to this day. She adopted all 7, she and her husband, my grandfather, adopted all 7 of their children. Adopted all 7 children and raised them as their own. And they were their own. But on top of that, the family took in and helped place or helped foster 26 foster children. Not all at once, mind you, but 26 foster children. If that doesn't tell you what kind of woman this was, I don't know what will. That's what being a woman for others is. Giving of yourself and your time and your abilities for others. The true example of that was my grandmother. She was not without fault. She was human, just like anybody else. But she tried. Today's service was dedicated to my grandmother, Vira Evelyn Miller McKool, who died yesterday, December the 14th, 2019, at the age of 92. May she rest in peace.